Welcome to the Houzz Pro Designer Academy. I'm Katie Congress, and I'm on our product marketing team. So I work very closely with our designers as well as our product managers to make sure that we have the right products to meet your needs and to help you grow your business. And I'm here with my colleague, Kristen. Kristen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, hello everyone. My name is Kristen. I'm one of our client onboarding managers. So I work with and manage our client onboarding specialists, which some of you may be working with right now or in the past. So just wonderful to be here with you all to run through these design tools. I'm within the project right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and you'll see this mood boards tab here on the left-hand side. We're gonna go ahead and click there. Okay. And then it'll bring in any existing ones that you've made for that project. But since this is a new project, it's going to have us create a new mood board, which we're going to go ahead and click into right now. And then we're going to go ahead and add a room. So let's just say we want this to be for a living room. We really need that mood board for the living room. We're going to go ahead and add new room, change the new room name. I'm going to go ahead and just backtrack here a bit. And so we'll say living room, and we're going to go ahead and click OK. And the mood board is a great tool to really set that space for your client. So really give a direction, whether it's just like the visual, color swatches we can add in. So many amazing things. And we can also bring in, I know you guys have went through, already had to clip in items. So you can also use those clip items on your mood board as well. And so you're going to start off with this blank canvas here. Starting off here, so you'll have your product list, which typically shows your most recent clipped items here or most recently used in a mood board. But since we're starting off, you can always access your library of products as well. So just kind of continuing on. So these are all past items that I've already clipped in. So you'll automatically be able to utilize them in your library. You can also search through your products as well. To add an item in, we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to click on the item that we're looking to add to the mood board. Okay, great. So again, just starting to kind of set that scene for what the living room is going to look like. We can make an adjustment if needed. We can rotate if needed. Kind of taking a look at the icons up top here, a lot of really cool features. So one, you'll see this photos option. So say you want to bring in your logo to add to this mood board, you could do that. Maybe you have a real life visual of a product you want to use. You can go ahead, you can add in as a photo. We're going to go into floor plans in a bit, but just to kind of show you a bit of a sneak preview is you can add in actually a space that you created to kind of show them like, this is the space. Now let's add in the products and kind of give like that added, visual element. You can also add in swatches as well. So if I click on color here, we have a partnership with Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams. That way we can try to give as accurate swatches as possible. And so let's say for this living room, we're going to have an accent wall. And let's maybe scroll down here. So you can see, again, these are true colors that are actually used through Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams. And so we're just going to go with this silver satin here. Okay, great. And we're going to go ahead and add swatch. And you'll see it adds in a nice clean swatch here up top. So I'm going to go ahead and just easily drag this over. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add text to this. So now we see this text tile here. And we're going to go ahead and click on that. Okay, and what this is going to allow us to do is to add a bit of text to what that swatch is going to be. So I'm just clicking on an area here. We're going to say this, I'm going to put this as accent wall. We're going to go ahead and click done. Okay, and you can change the font if needed up top. So say you want this, a little bit more refined, we're going to go ahead and go to Carrier New. You can adjust, again, the color and the size, and you can drag to your space here. So now this client knows that this is going to be the color, the swatch for the accent wall. Just give that vision for the room. We're going to also, I'm going to add in a couple more items here. So I'm just going to add in this chandelier to our space up top. Okay, and I'm going to drag this up top. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of bring this in a little bit just for spacing. I'm going to go ahead and also I'm going to add in a rug as one of the last elements to pull in here. And I'm going to show you how some of these items can interact with each other. So I'm going to go ahead and first I'm going to go ahead and just move this around so that way it's at a horizontal view there. And I'll show you how we can use spacing in this sense. So I'm going to drag this down. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lift this couch again over this carpet. And you can see right now the carpet is in front of it. We definitely don't want that. So when you are on an item, you can go ahead and you can click back. front, since we want to go in front of the carpet, and it'll show that spacing for you. And then you can also, another great thing is that just to kind of show spacing is you can pull in and you can skew items. So you see here, there's an area that says skew. And so now you can pull this carpet at an angle. That way it kind of shows almost like that 3D effect for the tool. So it's showing, again, more of like a space. Maybe you want to show it down like a hallway or just like from that front view. So we're going to go ahead and add this in. But yes, I saw a question. Yes, you would just pull in through your library. This can be done through clipping items, or any items that you've manually input will automatically be pulled in.
Yes, and then so, also that source tab on the upper right does have products from the Houzz Marketplace that are already existing. You could always add in as well.
Yes, if you go into source, so say you want to use one of our marketplace products, always just a really, really great resource. You can search through products here as well, and it functions the same way. So if we wanted to just say add in a cabinet here, again, it'll work just like our other library items if you want to get started. Okay. And I'll just go through just a couple of really quick tips on here, just kind of going back and directing to the top here. Is I just want to show you how you can show measurements as well. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to bring out this ruler here. And we're going to first pick the style. So I'm just going to go ahead and just use the second one here. And say we want to show the measurement. So we're going to even use this sink here. I'm going to go ahead and just drag this across this sink. Okay, and it's going to allow me to put in the measurement. So I'm just going to type in just a number for the time being, but allow you to make sure that we have those really specific numbers there. I will show them so that way they can get the dimensions, they can get the product, the visual, the spacing, everything all in one. So that way, again, when you are creating that living room for your client, you can really just show them everything and really immerse them into that design. Just to show you, we can always save, and also if we go to actions up top, we can always share it directly as well. So say we wanted just to send this directly to a client, we can do that as well through the share option. This will be then attached to your project once you create it. So yeah. We're going to go ahead and now jump into, oh, yes.
I was just going to ask, there was one question. Can you walk through again the difference between those three tabs, the product list, your library, and then source?
Yes, absolutely. So the product list, it's going to show your most recently used items in the mood board. So you can see, I just use all these items right now. So they're going to be pulling in as like the most recent items on the product list. The library, that's going to show all of your either items that you've manually submitted into your product list, or any items that you've clipped are automatically gonna appear here to be able to use. The source tab, this is gonna be specifically for our Houzz Marketplace. So say you don't have like an item in mind and you just wanna search through our marketplace to kind of show to a client, we have all of these items pre-populated in here that you can use. So product list, most recent, library, all of your specific items that you've either clipped or added in manually. In source ties to our marketplace for items to pull in.
Great,
yes,
thank you.
And I see a question too. So the measurement detail at the bottom, it's going to be through this ruler here up top. So the top right ruler section, it's going to first have you select your style. And then once you select the style, it's just going to be a dragging function. And then it'll automatically have you put in those measurements. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So I went up top and I went to manage, and I'm going to walk through time and expenses. So this is a really great way, especially if you're working hourly, to be able to really track all of your time worked and make sure that we can properly invoice for all of that time worked. And then I'll also go and show you our stopwatch feature here as well. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new entry. So on the right-hand side here, and you can see here I have a couple existing. So it does allow you to track it by project if you want to filter by team members you have added and date. There's a lot of filters that we have. That way you can really keep on top of your time and expenses. And so we're going to go to new entry here on the right-hand side. And so we're going to go ahead and first we're going to add it to the desired project. So this is the one that we were just working on, living room design. You can add a team member if you would like to assign a team member to this, or you're tracking hours for that team member specifically. We're going to add in a service here. And then you can also add in an hourly rate as well. So let's just say the hourly rate is going to be $150. You can add if it's taxable, if it's billable. We're going to add that in, and you're going to add in the date here that you were working. So let's just say this was time worked for yesterday. And we're going to go ahead and add in the hours. So say you were, working on jobs for 5 hours. We're going to add that in. You can add another entry to this as well and connect them. You can also add a description. So again, what was done during that time worked, any details that you need to include in there. And you can also upload files. So say you were creating a mood board, that was a part of it. You can add in, a file, anything else needed to be able to make sure you have all of your details there. Just with showing how to add a team member. If you wanted to add someone, you can add them in here, and then that service. So let's just say this is just for the designer rate that we're adding in here. We'll re-include that hourly wage there. And then we're going to go ahead and click save. And yes, I did say a question. There is a way to remove services if need be. Again, here you can see, again, all the information that I just pulled in. You can also, scrolling up here, we have a stopwatch feature as well. So say you wanted to track your working time in real time. You would click this stopwatch here at the top right hand here. We're going to click start stopwatch. So say we just hopped onto your desk and your computer getting ready to work. We're going to click start stopwatch. Connected to the project. So we'll just keep it here for the living room design. Keep the same service. Just resubmit what that rate's going to be. Then add a description. And we're going to go ahead and start stopwatch here. Okay, and so you'll see up top, it automatically starts tracking that time for you. The nice thing on this is that there is a pause on it as well. So say, someone came to your door or you had to run an errand, you had to step away for, just at some point in time. You can go ahead and you can click the pause button up top. Okay, and then you can go ahead and resume when needed, all the way up until you are finished for that day. Once you are finished, we're going to go ahead and just, again, pause it again, and you would log time. But I did want to point out, too, that there's also an add stopwatch feature as well. So that way, say you're working on plans for 2 jobs at once, or maybe you want to kind of work the first part of the day on one and the other, you can have multiple stopwatches running at a time. So say I'm going to pull in another project here. Say also today I'm planning on working on the New York loft designer rate. Maybe my rate's 200. We'll click start stopwatch. And so you can see we can have 2 stopwatches running at different intervals. So say we wanted to stop working on the living room design, wanted to continue on the New York loft. Again, it'll track everything in real time that way. It's really precise and consistent with the work that you did. And so once you're finished up, we're going to go ahead and just click log time here up top, or you can delete this if you'd like. Okay, and then after a few moments, if we hit refresh, then we're going to go ahead and we would now see that time logged. And I'll go ahead and log both just so you can see what that looks like. And I'm going to go ahead and just refresh this page here. And then you'll be able to see that track then in your time. So again, it can be tedious, to think back, you work on this project and you're like, oh, like how long was it? So that stopwatch really kind of helps alleviate some of those troubles or concerns that you may have to be able to use. So, okay. And then there are those items that we just pulled in here. So that New York loft and the living room design. And the best thing about this, and I know initially I touched on just making sure we have effective invoicing for these as well. If you, on the left-hand side here, you can see that you can select particular times here. So say we wanted to invoice all of our time collected for this living room design collection and send this out to the client. If we just go ahead and just select the box on the left-hand side here, you'll see it brings up a pop-up option on the top right-hand side to create an invoice. So if we click create invoice for both of these options, it's going to pull us back into the project, but ultimately it'll draft up an invoice based off of this data that you can easily send out to then that client. And that way you can bill for those hours worked. And again, it shows it in a really professional branded document. I'm not sure if you've seen that in the a couple of the past days if you went through proposals, but it brings up that same branded document for you. That way you can easily and effectively send that out to your client. So yes. Okay, there we go. So again, your branded document to be able to send out, it automatically pulls in that client details as it's tied to the project. But down below, you can then see all of those items that we just entered in, and you can again customize them if needed, add an image for those items, and you can go ahead and preview and share and send out to your client for that time work. So again, just a way to kind of really manage time and stay organized. You've also, I'm going to go ahead and just click back into time and expenses here just to show you one additional thing. Okay, and I just want to point out that we have an expenses tab here as well. So we just went through tracking time. To track expenses, the functionality is going to run the same. This is going to be really useful. Again, say you're working on a particular project, there's certain expenses you need to account for, and you want to be able to invoice for those separately as well. You would just click on the expenses tab. Again, it has the same functionality as the time expenses that we were just working on. You would click new entry on the right-hand side, and truly you can customize this to what's needed. So again, it's going to ask you to pull in that project. We can stay consistent with the living room design, add yourself or an additional team member, add in your service. I'm just going to type in expense for the time being. And then the cost. So say we had an expense and we need to track for $400. Maybe it was a material that we used and we want to bill for that. We're going to add that in, add the date for it, description, upload files again, and then click save. And you'll be able to track your expenses for that project as well. And similar to how we invoiced for that time spent, it would be the same. Click on the box here on the left-hand side and then create an invoice for it. There's also, if you wanted to view in more like an Excel spreadsheet, all of your expenses or time, when you select an item, it also gives an option to export. It'll bring a pop-up to be able to, depending on which computer you're on, to bring up Excel or another tracking system if you just want to kind of see it in a spreadsheet view.
We have a question here, Kristen. Can you export to QuickBooks?
For the time and expenses, it will. So ultimately, when you create it as an invoice, it will. So if you are connected with QuickBooks, once you create an invoice from this time and you send it out to that client, then it will ping to QuickBooks to be able to log that. So yes, once you create an invoice from this time, then yes, it will connect. And yes, if you want to change it manually, you absolutely can. You just have to click the 3 dots here on the right-hand side, click edit, and then you can adjust the time as needed.
Awesome.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and the timeline area is going to really just help you manage projects or say design timelines, and it lets you track different projects across. So just as an example here, we say I have various projects that I've been working on, and it allows you to give a visual of the timeline of your project. So say at one glance, you can say, okay, I'm supposed to be finishing this task for the New York loft by a specific date and so forth, but I'll show you how we can go ahead and we can create a new item. So I'm just going to click into this living room design project to start, and we're going to go ahead and create a timeline for that project. So you can see when I click on it, it automatically pulls into that project that I created earlier, we converted over earlier. And I'm going to go and add a couple items. It'll automatically bring in 3. You don't need to put in 3, but just as a way to get you started. If we click on the item, I'm going to go ahead and just click item here. And it's going to allow you to add in details then for that item. So I'm just going to have this first item is just drafting. So I'm going to go ahead and type in drafting, adding description. So what's for this particular task for the project? What are those additional details? So I'm just going to just add in sample for here. If this is still open, we can assign this to a team member as well. Say for this particular project, a team member is supposed to be doing the drafting specifically for this one. We'd go ahead and add in an assignee here. You can add in a specific day. Maybe it's just all day. It's what you're working on. But if not, we can uncheck this. And we can assign an actual date and time for this project. So say this was the start date's the 14th. That started yesterday. We can add in a drop down of what time that started at specifically. So we're just going to say it started at 10 a.m. Okay, and then the end date is going to be, let's just say we're going to give a week for this. So we're going to scroll down, it pulls up a calendar, and we're going to pull this into the 24th. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and just leave the end date at 9 a.m. So it shows how many working hours that is, but we can adjust it as needed. You can add a dependency. So say we're doing this drafting, but this is dependent on if we finish the task prior. So that will apply to item 2. And then we can add in a color as well. So if we just want to specify, again, what this looks like on it, maybe you want to keep all your purple items as your first item, you can do that. Add any sub items as well. So say I'm going to go ahead and click add new here. And so this would be if you needed like a sub item to drafting if needed, we can always add in. So you can see as we're making adjustments, it's automatically making the change on the timeline here on the left-hand side. If we have a sub item, we can add that in as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just click sub items and then add a description. So I'm just gonna show us an example. So sample addition to drafting. Maybe we need 2 items for that one section running out at once. So we're gonna add that in. Again, you can add a specific team member, a start or end date. We're gonna just keep this consistent here and then add a dependency if need be. We're gonna go ahead and just exit out of this. And so again, you can adjust these. You can keep adding sub items under your primary one. You can keep adding additional items if need be. You can also draw them out longer if needed. So say it's actually going to extend a little bit longer. I know it's supposed to be just a few days, but now this is going to be about like a 13-day project. We can extend it right from here as well. There's also a couple ways we can view this as well. So say we go up top to this view, this Gantt view versus calendar view. So say you wanted to just kind of have like a bird's eye view of this project and what this looks like, on a calendar basis. You can also see that as well. So it shows, again, the timeline from how long you'll be doing the drafting. It'll show your sub items, your other items. And you can also integrate this with your calendar as well. So if you click the 3 dots, there's a calendar sync, and you can actually add this calendar into your current calendar. So I would then just go to like my Google Calendar, add a calendar. This will give you a link. And then this will then integrate with your calendar. That way, when you open your personal one, you can see, okay, great. I have all these projects running. I have my drafting running from this date to this date. And it kind of helps you keep track of everything in one spot. So again, really useful tool to be able just to keep track of like all of your projects across the board, what those timelines are at, and just make sure that we're on top of them and managing them effectively.
Okay. Kristen, do you mind showing how a dependent item would work in there?
Yes. Well, let me go ahead and just go back to the Gantt view here. So let me go ahead and just click back into this item here. I'm going to go into item 2 and kind of build this one out first. And so I'm just going to mark this as sample. Okay, we're just going to say it's all day. We'll just keep it as is. And so for this one, I'm going to go down to the dependency area here. And we'll say that this sample item is going to be dependent on the progress of the drafting. So we're going to say that begins after drafting here. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and just save this here. So you'll see, and I'll go ahead and I'll move this view for you guys. But we'll see it drafted a line over here showing sample 2. So again, as we move drafting, it's then going to move that sample item as well, because that's ultimately stating that the sample item can't proceed until we're actually finished with that drafting. So it can't supersede that. So again, you'll be able to draw connections once you have a dependency to that other item. So that way, again, we can say the sample item here is dependent on like when we finish that drafting. So again, allows us to kind of effectively shift everything at once. I know we had a lot of people, this is one of our recent features. We had people saying, well, I can't start this next phase of the project until this is finished. This will allow you to make sure that everything's kind of on that same timeline. I did want to show how to create tasks within a project as well. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go back into just the overview of this living room design project. Okay, and the tasks feature is like a really great way to collaborate with your team. So say you have a project, you have someone that's going to be doing in the drafting, and you want to make sure that you're on top of the task, or you want to assign yourself tasks too for that project. You definitely have the ability to do so. So we're going to go ahead and click this task option up top. Okay, and I'm going to, again, just for the same example, I'm just going to say drafting and click this check mark here. Once you've added in the task, you can add in additional details. So I'm going to go ahead and now click back into that drafting task. And you can see here, you can add a due date. So say we want to finish this by the 21st. You can add, again, a team member. You can assign yourself, but you can also add a client to this task as well. So maybe there's something that you need from them, like, provide photos, something of that sort. You can also task your clients to do things as well, along with other team members. Okay. And then you can add a description. So again, what is needed from your client, what is needed from your team member, making sure they have all the details. And then you can also add any attachments as needed as well. If we click save. Okay. Then it'll now add that task, something that will add to your calendar and kind of give you that reminder. And if we click into this again, you can actually see it shows share on timeline as well. And then this will then appear on the timeline feature that we were just on as a task. So that way, again, everything on your calendar is visible. You can see your timeline for your project from all the different stages and items. And you can also see all of your tasks in one shot as well. So again, just a way to really kind of help contribute to that organization for a project.
My name is Sean, and I lead the product development for 3D Floor Planner with Houzz Pro. So let me jump in and I will show you some of the ways that we can use the 3D Floor Plan in Houzz Pro. Start off on your homepage here, and the 3D Floor Plan tool is located under Design. So we're going to click in there, and then this is where you'll see all your 3D floor plans. And then when you want to create a new floor plan, you can do that right here, as well as in the top right here, new floor plan. So we click in there, that opens a new tab. And let's say we're working on a new living room design. So I'm just going to title this here. You can title this anything you want. And then you can start. So I'll give a general overview of the tool. What you're looking at here is essentially like a top-down view. When you create a new floor plan, you start with a simple four-walled room. So these are your walls that you see here. And as you hover over them, they get selected. And this is the floor. And these are the essential tools that you use to design. So this pencil button here is what you use to create walls. Depending on where you are, the units are also defaulted to either feet or meters. And these are your basic zoom buttons here. So you can zoom in and out. And also you can do this with your mouse. So for example, right now I'm left clicking and holding down that left click button and dragging, and you see that move around. And also using, depending on your mouse, either a zoom in, zoom out with that scroll button, as you see here. And let's also jump in. This will always bring your floor plan back to center. So for example, if I'm moved over here and then I want to quickly jump back to the center of the floor plan, you go here. Okay, so let's jump in, and I'm going to actually start with modifying this dimension. So let's say we know our living room is 25 feet wide. We can do that in a couple of ways. One is that we can drag here and get that to be the measurement that we're looking for. And you can also actually just select the wall that you want. Let's say you have a precise dimension that you want to modify it to. So you can select that wall, and on the right panel here, you'll see the properties of that wall. And you can change the wall dimension here. So let's say it's exactly 25 feet, 6 inches. You input that here, and now you basically tell the wall which length. In this case, we're increasing the wall length. So which direction do we want to increase it? If we want to push the wall to the right, we hit this arrow here. If we want to push it to the left, this arrow. Or if we want to essentially grow it in both ways, we hit this one. So here I'll choose, we're going to push the additional dimension to the right. And you'll see that adjusted to 25 foot, 6 inches. An additional level of detail control that we have here is that you can decide which side of the wall you want to apply that length to. For example, if I knew the other side of the wall was 26'9", we could toggle that. You see that highlighted here, and now I can modify that dimension the same way. Of course, due to the way geometry is represented here, if you change this wall dimension will also change because it's defined by the thickness of the wall, which you can control here. Okay, And let's go and say that this wall should be 15 feet. Let's say it's 15 foot too. And then here you'll see we're going to push that down. Okay, so now we have our precise wall measurement. And I want to show one more way that you can draw walls by using a more precise distance. So for example, if we have a second part of this space that we need to add walls for, you'll see on the top of the screen here, there's this running number tally, if you will. So I can just, using my keyboard, I can type in 10 feet and hit enter, and that will draw a 10-foot wall. And I can then snap here as well. So I can just, by dragging my mouse down, will automatically show the intersection. So I can come in and click there and click there. And now I've added like a second room to the floor plan. I want to review what you see here on the right. So this is essentially the area, the library, where you can add things to your floor plan. So let's go ahead and quickly add a door. You can see here we have a family of doors that you can choose from. And once we select that, the door appears in your 3D floor plan, and you can drag that to location. As you drag that, where the tool is showing the dimensions along the wall. So let's say, for example, this is about 6 inches from the wall, or sorry, 6 feet from the wall. You can drag that accordingly. You can also go ahead and modify the width of this door, for example, if it's 42 inches, or change the height of it. And I'll do the similar thing for windows. So here's a family of windows that you can choose from. And again, you can customize the dimensions of all of these windows. And similarly, you can control where along the wall you want to place that window and modify the width of it here. So let's say it's a 3-foot window. We can change that here. And then if perhaps there's 2, we can quickly duplicate that, drag the next one, and accordingly show the dimension that is from the corner of the wall. Also, if we want to see how far each of these windows are apart, we can use Shift to select both of those at the same time. So again, you select one, then you hold down the Shift key, and you select the other, and now you get more information about the relative distance of those windows from each other. Okay, I'm going to go towards adding furniture now. So you can see here we have also staircases. Let me add in a staircase while we're here. So we have a list of different types of staircases that you can add. Here, I'll choose this. And again, you can position that in the floor plan. So let's see that staircase here. And then I'll go ahead and start filling in some furniture. We have 2 different tabs here. So the first is where you find our generic products. So these can be things like kitchen products, so base cabinets, different types of appliances for your kitchen, for example. And we have a pretty large library of generic products that you can choose from here. And we continually add to this, so definitely do keep an eye on that as more things get added here. These are essentially the generic products that are made to look generic, not call too much attention to them, and you can customize the dimensions of those as well. We also have within the 3D floor planner this source tab where you can actually source products that are available through the Houzz Marketplace. So for example, let's see if I'm searching for a couch, we can type that in here and have different couches that we can add in. And these are again coming from the Houzz Marketplace. And we have relevant filters available for those. So let's say we're looking for a blue couch. I can select that here and add that to the floor plan. And then put that into the position that I need. And software will show you relative dimensions, for example, how far that is from the wall or from other objects within your floor plan. Now I'm going to talk about the different ways that you can view your design. So right now we're looking in floor plan view, which is essentially a top-down view of the design. And we also have these other views available that you can click into. So for example, if we want to see what this looks like in 3D, we can now go into dollhouse mode. And you'll see, again, this is not really a fully designed floor plan, but just to show you what this looks like in 3D, you can see that here. And now you can also start, for example, adding different paint colors for the walls. For example. So let's say we wanted to paint these walls. We can select the wall here, and you'll see on the right, you can select the paint color. And we have Benjamin Moore paint colors, as well as Sherwin-Williams paint colors that you can choose from here, and you can change your color palettes and navigate the color palettes this way. So let's say, for example, we're looking for I'll go with one of these blues, like this blue here. We can do that. And we can also select, again, using this little shift shortcut, you can select multiple walls. So if I hold down shift, I select this wall and this wall, and then we can apply paint to all of those walls. I also want to show how we can choose flooring. So if you select a floor here, again, by left clicking, you select, and then go into the right side panel, select flooring, and we also have a library of flooring that you can apply. So for example, if we're doing wood flooring, we can choose a flooring here from this list and see what that looks like. And if we wanted to modify this flooring, we have some different options here. So if you select this flooring, and then you can change the plank size, for example, or you can change the orientation of it. So let's say I actually wanted to appear the other way, we can rotate that, and you can choose the angle that you want to rotate that floor. Let's see here, let's say this was a different room. We could choose another kind of flooring. And we also have tile flooring available. For example, let's say this was a bathroom. You can add tile flooring here. And these tiles are sourced as well from the Houzz Marketplace. I want to also show walkthrough mode. So this is this mode here. If you click here, this basically puts you at like an eye level view of the room, and you can zoom in and out. And if you hold your left mouse button, you can sort of turn yourself around in here and look at the view in 3D. And if you click and drag on your right mouse button, you can move yourself around as well. And by left clicking and moving the mouse, you can change your view. Something that customers sometimes talk about doing is creating a view that's more elevation. This is another good way to do that, where you can kind of fine tune the view. This isn't a technical elevation, but it's a perspective where you can view one side in somewhat of an elevation view. Again, it's still in perspective. Couple ways if you want to, let's say, share a floor plan or send a floor plan to somebody. Under this actions menu, we can print here, and that option will also give you a way to save as PDF. The other, I'm going to show that in a second. The other way to do that is to share. So if you click here, copy the link to the floor plan here, and then you can send that in an email or pass that along to your client any way that you choose, just by copying this link and then pasting it. So let me go back here, and let's say we wanted to print this floor plan. So you can see this print preview essentially, and you have this option here to save as PDF.
Do you want to talk about the tutorial we have available?
Yes, thank you for reminding me about that. We do have a tutorial, as Katie's just mentioning, and that will appear really the first time that you enter into the floor plan. And any time that you want to re-access that, that is available here under the actions menu. So here I can go into actions and replay that tutorial, which is always nice to have to go through that again and be able to review things you might have missed that are in the tutorial, or just get a refresher on the functionality of the tool. And you can run through that here.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. We hope you enjoyed playing around in the 3D floor planner. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out, and also check out the YouTube video tutorials we have available. There's a lot of great content there as well.
Thank you all.
Thank you.